Hey douchebags, what's going on? It's Landon Remixes here, and it is time for my review of the new collaborative EP from Dirtyphonics and Sullivan King called Vantablack. Dirtyphonics is a bass music production trio out of Paris, France, and my personal journey with Dirtyphonics started in, I think it was early 2014 when Etc. remixed their song No Stopping Us, but other than that, I really haven't paid too much attention, honestly, to Dirtyphonics, at least until earlier this year when the trio released their debut on Monstercat Watch Out with Raga Twins and Bass Nectar, and then they've done other stuff with Monstercat as well, like the song Got Your Love with Riot, which I was personally a big fan of. Unlike with a lot of artists, I actually don't have a ton of regret about not getting into Dirtyphonics sooner. I mean, I do appreciate the trio for having good, cleanly mixed bass music, but other than that, it's not like Dirtyphonics has the most insane, unconventional production style in the world. Everything they've done is pretty general, and that came out a lot on their debut album, Irreverence. On the other hand, we've got Sullivan King, who definitely has an upper hand when it comes to uniqueness, with him recently kind of becoming the face of rock and EDM hybrid music. But to his disadvantage, I don't think Sullivan King is really that great of a producer. In fact, most of his solo originals I've thought sound honestly pretty empty despite his great use of vocals and electric guitar. That being said, when Dirtyphonics and Sullivan King released this EP's title track as a single, I was absolutely blown away. Their ability to work so harmoniously with another artist was really unprecedented in either of the artist's discographies. These guys complement each other extremely well. Like I said about Dirtyphonics before, it's not like the drop of this song makes this thing out to be the most crazy, unique dubstep song I've ever heard before, but it's really nicely mixed and it's an absolute banger. Sullivan King sets up the track really nicely with his use of electric guitar and drums at the beginning, and then just comes in absolutely roaring with his vocals, "Break down the stone walls!" And then you get to the part where they challenge you, try not to headbang, and trust me, the first time I listened to this, I really did try not to headbang, and I only lasted like 3 to 5 seconds before I absolutely lost it. And then after the first drop, we've got what is in my opinion the best use of electric guitar I've ever heard in an EDM song, with these absolutely insane harmonies that come at you in both ears, especially if you're listening to this track on headphones. Really, as a metal and dubstep hybrid, it doesn't get better than this. Everything just works together so cohesively. It has a nice even blend of brostep and metal music. This track is absolutely perfect. I guess I just wish I could say the same about the rest of the EP. And definitely don't mistake that for me saying that this EP is bad, because really it's not. And Dirtyphonics and Sullivan King complement each other extremely well on this project, and I hope they work together a lot more in the future. It's just that none of the songs in this EP really work out in the end as well as the title track did. You've got songs like Navigator, which have these really awesome, kind of epic, heavy metal influenced intros, which in all honesty, I really like, but then it completely flops over with this really awkward sampling of a GPS and then just a completely boring and uninspired rhythm drop. You've got these absolutely obnoxious timbale drums sampled on the fittingly titled Timbale, and I was okay with this at first. I do like a little bit of obnoxiousness when it comes to brostep music, but there is a certain point where it begins to feel like they've really overused and kind of beat a dead horse when it comes to the use of those drums on this track. Hammer is probably the best of the dubstep tracks on the EP that aren't Vantablack anyway. Most probably because it seems to be the most intentional when it comes to using its metal elements, which kind of carry through the entire track rather than just the intro and various other parts. Though to its disadvantage, I think that Hammer is probably the most flat and monotone cut on the EP. Like, I think the track could have been significantly improved with maybe a little bit more variance in the melodies on the electric guitar, and maybe even some more added vocals by Sullivan King instead of just like, wah! The song's pacing is definitely a little bit awkward as well, kind of starting off really hard and fast and then kind of taking things back into the first drop, which is of course in a more halftime beat, and things do speed up and pick up a little bit toward the second drop where you get the really fast electric guitar pulses, but other than that I just really wasn't crazy about the song. Like I said, a little bit monotonous for my taste, but regardless, I think it was one of the better cuts on the EP. That leaves the two tracks that I haven't talked about yet, Rome Rome and Sight of Your Soul. Rome actually serves as a pretty cool interlude between Navigator and Sight of Your Soul. The song, although I wouldn't necessarily call it ambient, is definitely the song on the EP that's least tied down to a particular tempo or style of music, whereas most of the EP is going to be your standard 150 BPM BROSTEP with a couple exceptions. This is one of the ones that really doesn't fit into any of those categories. I think the coolest part about Rome, though, is just how well it sets up Sight of Your Soul. Someone who I assume is Sullivan King is talking over a large portion of this track, and very fittingly talking about not wanting to have limitations on himself during the course of this project. You know, you have to do it this way, you have to do it that way, which perfectly describes how Sight of Your Soul came about on this EP, a song that's completely out of left field from just about everything Monstercat's ever released, with maybe exception to No Regrets by Open Water and Matt Weiss. It's a frickin' rock power ballad, and anyone that tries to tell you this is melodic dubstep is lying to you. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is also the first time we've ever heard Sullivan King's singing voice, and at least it's the first time I've ever heard it. And while Sight of Your Soul might be a little bit cheesy in some places, it definitely resonates with me a lot as a listener because it heavily reminds me of a lot of the rock music I grew up listening to, notably artists like 1000 Foot Crutch and Green Day. In fact, Sullivan King himself sounds like a discount Billy Joe Armstrong on this track in terms of his voice. Huge Green Day vibes here. My biggest problem with this track is surprisingly its mixing. There are some spots on this song, especially in Sullivan King's bridge going toward the second drop, where the vocal layering is just really awkward. It's also mixed like it's supposed to be a dubstep song, which once again, it's not. And I also have the problem with the fact that they used electronic drums over the drop instead of acoustic, which in my opinion would have sounded a lot better, at least for this genre. Regardless, I do think it was a really solid song and did pack a lot of emotion, especially with Sullivan King's very raw vocals. Once again, to reiterate, I really do like how Rome kind of points to Sight of Your Soul, but it doesn't actually transition really smoothly. I think this EP could have been even better had these two tracks kind of seamlessly transitioned into each other. I think that would have been pretty cool. Another thing that didn't really happen on this EP. And that's basically it. That's kind of my general thoughts on this EP. I didn't think it was anything absolutely amazing. I do really like the kind of chemistry that Sullivan King and Dirtyphonics have, and I think even they could make a nice four-piece band if they tried to and kind of progress from here, because I think this is probably my favorite work that either of them have really ever done. A couple really great tracks, a couple not so great tracks, but overall I'd probably say I like this EP. I thought it was decent. I'm probably feeling a light 6 out of 10 for the Vantablack EP. As always, you can check it out if you want to in the Spotify link that I have in the description. And if you guys have checked out this EP already, make sure to let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Like the video if you like the video. Make sure to share if you want to support my content. As always, I'm Landon Remixes. I hope you guys enjoyed this review, and I'll catch you later. Peace.